Good day everyone and welcome to Exile News, the weekly show that brings you all the important news and informations on Path of Exile. And the first news we got this week is pretty much an overview of the last week's announcement. So if you didn't catch all of the news, you can pretty much catch up here. There's kind of a recap, there's every site where something was posted, there's ZD videos, there's some other videos, random videos as well. So if you're missing some informations which somehow you didn't get anywhere else, just check out these sources here. Other than that, we got a very small sneak peek at some of the new unique items in the 2.6 update. So first one is the Tidebreaker. It's a two-handed mace made for stun because it has reduced enemy stun threshold with the weapon. It has increased physical damage per endurance charge, so on a Juggernaut it's probably going to be really good. It has some intelligence, which is going to be great if you're going to linger into the bottom left side of the skill tree. And it also has level 20 endurance charge on melee stun socketed into this weapon, so that's pretty good. I think that's going to be a really interesting weapon, probably very good for lab farming or something. Anyway, we also got the Martyr of Innocence, which is a pretty good fire stuff. It has a lot of chance to block because it's 18 base plus 15, and then it has a lot of flat fire damage either added to your attacks or also added to your spells. It has 100% increased fire damage if you've been hit recently, so if you manage to hit yourself, that's going to be really good. You penetrate fire resistance if you have blocked, and with the base block you already have, that actually works, I think, pretty well. Granting level 15 Vengeance skill as well, and immunity to freeze and chill while ignited, so this definitely works really well with something like Eye of Innocence, where you just perma-ignite yourself, and then you're immune to freeze, chill, you have 100 increased fire damage, so that's pretty damn interesting. I can see some interesting build come out from this stuff. And there's also some pretty good boots which have evasion, 30% move speed, which is always good, and then they have life per 10 dexterity, which if you have like 700 dexterity, which means you kind of invested in dexterity, you have a 70 life roll, which is not top tier, but it's still, I mean, decent. It's definitely not the strongest part of the boots anyway, because it regenerates 100 life per second while moving, which is always nice, especially if you have Valpact. I mean, does that work if you have Valpact? Not sure about that. But the best part is that you are immune to Burning Ground, Shocked Ground and Shield Ground, so avoiding the aids that Shield Ground is in maps definitely makes these boots very valuable, in my opinion. But we still also got something about the Relics. This is about the next challenge leagues, which of course is called Legacy, and you will be able to find these kind of ancient reliquary key, and they're going to be pretty damn rare, I bet, and they seem to not be divided between items, so for every reliquary you can drop one of the special items. It can be trash, because there's going to be some trash items in there, or it might be really good. Definitely really hard to collect all of those. I think that GG said there are at least 40 of these special items, so that's going to be really hard. Anyway, if you use Divine Orb on these items, you will not lose the special foil, you will not lose the chroming, so that's always going to be good. But you have to be careful because it will roll the values to the new values, so if your item was nerfed after it was created, you should not divine it. However, if your item was buffed, you should definitely divine that one. Either way, there are going to be definitely some collectors stuff. Most likely, some of those, like Cloak of Defiance for example, they're going to be reminiscent of some past meta, which is no more at the moment, but for the players, for the people who actually played during that time, it will be kind of a trip down memory lane. And of course there's going to be some great item like Aegis Aurora, which is always good regardless of the meta. And another very interesting thing we got is some of the balance changes which are coming with the 2.6 update. This is not a full patch note thing, but it's still pretty interesting. As far as the passive tree goes, the bottom right part is kind of being reworked a little bit. The pathing is going to be fixed, which is always good. On the top right, there's going to be a leech, a new type of leech for the shadow, which is not physical, or rather, it's not just physical. It's still only from attacks, but it's not physical, so you can actually leech from elemental attack damage, and that's definitely going to open up to a lot of elemental builds, especially with the new changes that are coming, for example the new threshold jewels. Beside that, some of the gems which had elemental conversion in them have been their elemental conversion increased, so they have more part of the physical damage already transferred to an element. For example, Frostblade and Ice Shot now have 60% of physical to cold conversion, up from 40%, so that means you can easily get 100% full elemental damage, and also this does not compromise too much the identity of the skill by just converting it fully to another element. Wild Strike now converts 100% of physical damage to a random element. I mean, Wild Strike, pretty interesting skill, not really usable too much, but still very, very interesting one. One day there's going to be an awesome build with that, I can already tell. But anyway, we already know uniques have been rebalanced, and we know that one-handed weapon damage, especially swords and claws, has been kind of buffed across the board. Also, some weapon implicit have been changed. For example, daggers crit chance is now lower, and some of the other items have been a little bit changed. For example, the higher level claws now have a different type for mana on hit and life on it, because they grant more life on it. Some high level weapons, some high level thrusting swords are going to have the bleed rate increased to actually 15 to 20%, so I feel like having two 20% weapons can actually be pretty good, and maybe it will actually make this thing viable in conjunction, of course, with some specific wheels on the passive trees. One-handed maces now have a better stun threshold, so that should be good if you are going for a stun build. I don't think many are, but still that's good, because one-handed maces, or maces in general, are actually characteristic for their stun capabilities. Staves, as we saw, have an increased block chance. They now are going to have 18 to 20 instead of 12 to 18, so that's a pretty big buff there. Hopefully there's going to be some more block nodes for the stave on the passive tree. We'll see about that. Maybe something in ascendancies. Right now there's only things for shield. So there's also going to be some changes to the area of effects, and what GGG wants to do here is try not to funnel every single build into taking more area, because right now the more area you have, the faster you clear, and that's pretty much it. But with the new changes, basically the more you invest into area of effect, the lesser return you get. So it's basically like having diminishing returns on the area of effect, and I think this is going to be pretty good. So when you take a bit of area, that's going to be better, faster than how it is at the moment, and then if you start taking more and more and more, you'll gradually gain less and less, so that's probably going to be pretty good. And also, melee splash now gains significantly more increased area than it did previously, bringing it much closer to equivalent area skills. So this will probably make, if it works well, which means name targeting is not going to be too bad, because that's really the problem of single target melee skills, or not melee skills as well, but single target skills in general. This can make a lot of skills viable again, like double strike, dual strike, or glacial hammer with the new threshold duels especially. And a couple skills have been rebalanced. Sunder now deals more damage with the direct hit, but less with the secondary area. Ice Crash has been buffed with a little bit of damage, which kind of surprised me. I thought it was pretty strong, but anyway, of course Blade Flurry has had its damage reduced. no wonder, it's really no surprise there. Blade Flurry has been way too strong since it came out. Val Haste, it's been slightly nerfed in numbers, and Val Discipline has been kind of grounded, no longer granting any bonus energy shield, so this is probably the first step to the CI nerf that GG is definitely going to do within the, or before the 3.0 update comes. And there's going to be some changes to the threshold jewels, which we'll see when the patch notes come out, hopefully soon. It says a few days before the league launches on March 3rd, so really next week pretty much. And just one last thing, which was not in the news, but this awesome guy, Ethan, I'm sorry, I just butchered your name, but still, this awesome guy created or put together a compilation of most of PoE lore. It's 100% taken from in-game flavor texts or speeches from characters, that kind of stuff. So it's really interesting because it's put in chronological order, and really it's much easier to read. When you play the game, you don't really understand too much of the story. I mean, of course you do, but it's not really easy to put all of the events in the right order, put them together, and really understand how big of a role any character had in the story. So reading through this, I started to read it, and you can see it here. It's kind of, this is just a table of content, and there's like 82 pages of this, so it's pretty damn big. And reading through this really gives the game a bigger feeling, a nice feeling of being alive. So props to the guy for actually putting this together. If you don't know what to do between one league and the other, I definitely recommend reading up this one, and maybe next time you play the game you will feel a bit different about all the uniques, the flavor text and all the kind of stuff, and you will realize how big and how deep PoE lore actually is, even though when playing through it, it's not that easy to figure out. So yeah, I guess that was all for this week. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and a comment down below. Also, if you want to remain updated every week, be sure to subscribe to my channel. So that was all. I've been your host Zorzo, and I'll see you guys the next time.